Welcome to the Runna Podcast. I'm Ben, head coach.
And I'm Anya, international marathon runner. And we're proud to be the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide.
We'll be having truly insightful conversation with truly inspirational guests, as well as bringing you tips and tricks for runners of all abilities.
Today on the podcast, we had an incredibly thought-provoking and inspirational chat with Wyatt Moss, who spoke to us about all of his incredible adventures from 7 marathons in 7 days across 7 continents to running 50 marathons in every one of the 50 states in America. It's incredible how he's funded this, what's got him there, and he shared with us how he wants to make every day the greatest day ever. You'll enjoy this episode and love hearing about all the crazy ambitions he has for the future. Enjoy. Hey Wyatt, how are you?
Doing good. How about y'all? How's New York City?
It's great to be here. You've just come back from LA?
Yeah, I flew in at 1 o'clock this morning, and I didn't know JFK was like so far away, the airport, and so it took me like 2 hours to get back on the train, and so I got 45 minutes of sleep last night.
I love that. You're just chasing marathons around like the world now,
Yep.
Which we'll get into. But I guess we'll start on day 1 of your journey. What got you into running in the first place? When did that come into your life?
Yeah. Back in 2023, it was like not the best year, and my buddy and I wanted to commit to some type of daily challenge. And so we just had the idea, like, let's just start running 1 mile every day. Because when you think of the picture of like a guy in his 20s that's successful, it's someone who was running all the time. So we were like, all right, let's just do 1 mile every day. That's 10 minutes. And that was kind of like the start of the whole running journey recently. I was an athlete in high school. I played soccer. I was a rower as well. So like I had the leg strength and everything built up. But that was like the first time since high school I had really run consistently. And at first when you start running, it's like you're exhausted and, heavy breathing, but I think you start to like it around like a month in, 2 months in.
And you said that 2023 hadn't been that great, and you wanted to kickstart this as a way to, I don't know, find success and find happiness. Did it help? It's
interesting. At the start of the year, I ran a marathon with no training. So it was February of 2023, and my buddy and I, same buddy, my brother basically, his name's Tyler. Tyler and I ran a marathon in Atlanta. And that was the first marathon I'd ever done. No training, 5 hours and 5 minutes. I was crawling to the finish line. And it felt like this massive accomplishment, but I hadn't really trained for it or anything like that. So there wasn't any change to who I was. So then even though I did the thing, the whole point of setting that goal or the training or anything like that is just to change who you are. So I guess throughout the rest of the year, that kind of manifests in that I didn't really pursue or have the discipline to like achieve the goals I had set. And so mainly succeeding on social media, has been the goal for a while now. And yeah, by committing to that daily mile, it definitely started getting the discipline under control.
You said you started doing that daily mile because you saw the successful people, running every day.
Yeah.
I think before, like in the past, I guess that's a new thing, that hustle culture, like getting out, doing your run. And you were like, that kind of is how you envisioned success. But I guess, is that because of that discipline, that you're setting out to do something and achieving it, rather than just the act of running?
I think it's the daily commitment to something that you don't necessarily want to do. Huberman had a great point on this, where it was like, there's a part of your brain where if you do something that you don't want to do, that part of your brain grows. And then it helps you, it translates in all areas of life. For most people, that's like working out. That would be the first level of that. And so then, I think that daily practice of doing something that I don't really want to do, and it's like kind of difficult at first, grows that part of your brain to become more disciplined. And it's actually kind of cool. It's the same part of the brain is like, some scientists say it's like connected to the will to live. And so like you have so much more purpose when you master that like discipline in the daily running. It's so crazy how all these things play out. Not to get too deep really fast, but like, running a mile every day, without a doubt, has changed my life and is like the most profound impact that I've had, by one decision.
And I guess like you picked the mile as one of many examples of things it could have been.
Yeah.
And I guess like the point of starting the day with something hard and like really waking up, proving you could do hard things and making the rest of the day easy whether that's doing an ice bath, whether that's going to the gym, or whether that's meditating, I guess like they're all serving a similar challenge to your life. And
the maintenance,
I
like to call it, because there's never going to be time on a Saturday to like solve all of your life problems, like we all have these things that we carry. So it's a whole lifetime. It's not, it's a marathon, not a sprint, that whole phrase, not to be cliche, but like with a daily mile, you're committing to maintaining your physical shape. And so maybe some days I've got some time, I can go for a long run. In this season, I'm training for a marathon, so I can build in that time where I know I can pull back on other areas of my life. I see it as like the body, mind, and the soul. And so you can kind of fit meditation into the soul, like organizing or maybe in the mind category. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out where those different categories are. But at least, for one category of my life, in the body, staying disciplined, like it's just that maintenance.
Yeah. And so you start doing the mile. What did you like actionably notice in terms of the rest of the 23 hours that followed? Like, what did you notice in terms of happiness or how it affected the rest of your life?
Everything changed. No shit. I mean, it's a slow process, right? It's like, a lot of people want that immediate change in their life. And the tough news about it is like, no, this is life. This is a day-to-day process. And so I don't think it, maybe in that first month when you start getting used to it, that's when it's like, okay, this is no longer a thing that I dislike. I enjoy running, so it's part of the day that I can count on those moments. Mm-hmm. But then it wasn't really until like 2 or 3 months in, or even like when I actually started the 50 States Challenge, because that was a challenge I took on in 2024, running a marathon in all 50 states in 1 year. That was the goal. And I started training for that 3 months before the first marathon. So, like, I think people have this massive expectation of like a daily commitment and what it's going to do, but it really takes time. It wasn't until 3 months in that it started translating to other areas of my life. And then that's where it's like, okay, I have to sit down to edit this video. And it's something that I don't necessarily want to do, but I know that as part of the series that I'm taking on and the goal that I have set for my life of making content work full time, I have to edit this video. And so then, falling in love with the process of running ultimately translated to falling in love with the process of editing or any menial work, because we can get into that further later, but yeah.
You just mentioned, that 50 states, so 50 marathons in 50 states. That is a huge feat to take on like a year into your running journey.
Yeah.
How did you progress from that mile into thinking but fully believing you could do that?
So that was not the first 50 States series I had taken on.
Okay.
Back in 2021, some buddies of mine and I, John, Ethan, and we drove around to all 50 states in 50 days. And our whole thing was we wanted to eat a Chipotle burrito in every state. And we got back and it was perfect timing. A week after we got back from this trip, they announced this competition. We won. And so then that like gave me the encouragement to take on like a 50 states brand.
Okay.
The marathon idea, like marathon all 50 states, I was like, we ran a marathon at the start of the year with no training. How about this? I'll run a marathon every week for a month. And then I was like, well, I could do like every month for a year. And so I, was plotting those down on the calendar. I was like, would it be possible to run one every week of every month of 2024? And then I was like, well, that's all 50 states. It ties back into the challenge I already did, so why don't I just lean into this? That's where it started. And then it is kind of a crazy move, right?
Yeah.
To commit from 0 to 100 in 3 months. It was really like about a month and a half in that I had that idea. So I actually, in order to have the confidence to commit to that, I gave myself a challenge. Mm-hmm. How many days could I get to where I add 1 more mile every day?
Okay.
December 1st, 2023, that was 1 mile.
Yeah.
December 15th, that was 15 miles.
Which is
that final week was 98 miles in 1 week. And I figured if I could do 100 miles in 1 week, a month and a half into my training, then I could do 26 miles every weekend for 2024. And so then, that was day 15, 16, 17. I stopped on day 17, my 22nd birthday. And that was when I had the confidence. I was like, all right, this is it. January 15th of 2024, Houston Marathon, that's number 1. When I get there, that start line, I'm running a personal record, and it's going to be the start of a great year.
And from when you first started running to the start line in Houston, was it plain sailing? Did you get any injuries? Like, what was the hardest things you had to overcome to even start?
Yeah, my ankle, I go running at night. So that's something that, like, even with the daily commitment of the mile every day, I still wasn't fully living up to the commitment of, like, running in the morning, the perfect picture. Sometimes you just got to do it whenever. So it would be like 11 p.m. I go for a run. And one night I was just running and I rolled my ankle on this pine cone on the ground. And I had done that like 2 or 3 times on my right ankle. I think that compounded over the course of the year. So that was one of the injuries that I kind of had to like watch and tend to and be careful of. The other one is that on the back of my right leg, I had surgery on my right knee twice. And so for whatever reason, I guess the muscles weren't as developed or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was, but basically there's a nerve or a vein on the back of my leg. I thought it was a blood clot because it like when I run, it'll like bulge out of the back of my leg. And so then there was a good 4 months that I didn't check it out with the doctor because I just didn't want to know. I was like, I committed to this challenge. I'm going to just keep going. But that was another one because like I would get pain on the back of my leg. Mm-hmm. It's like a vein clot, or no, not a clot, but it's
vascular.
Yeah, vascular thing. So it's nothing bad, but like those 2 things were really the main issues I had to work through. So yeah, it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and you have those things you overcome. But I think the whole phrase there is like, with anything in life, any of the obstacles that come your way, it makes for a better story. And so it's like, even if this happens, I'm still going to go through and make a great story out of this.
And I think, first of all, you succeed and you run 50 marathons in the 50 states. So.
No, don't spoil it. No.
But do you think that you're extraordinary? Or do you think that that's something that anyone can do if they were to choose to devote their life to something like that?
I love that question. I think that we're all born with the potential to do amazing things. Mm-hmm. I think that very few people tap into that potential. And I think that it just takes the confidence to believe that you could be one of those people. And so do I think that I'm extraordinary? No. I think that I'm just like everyone else, except that my mom instilled this like ruthless belief in myself and ultimately in my relationship with God that gave me the confidence to take on this massive challenge. Mm-hmm. And so then it's like, now it's like, all right, how soon can I achieve my dream so I have the confidence to dream even bigger? So like if your dream is to run a marathon in all 50 states eventually, well then just run one marathon. And now since you've run one, how soon can I like get to achieving this dream? Now that I've run a marathon in all 50 states, it leads into bigger goals. And so in any area of life, it's just the willingness to get started. I ran my first marathon with no training, 5 hours and 5 minutes. I was crawling across the finish line. I was out of shape. Yeah. My head was shaved back and I had a full beard. I was an entirely different person, right? And so for everyone listening, I'm clean shaven now, I have a full head of hair. But you see what I mean? Like,
yeah. But I think it's also the positive feedback cycle that brings is that like you getting committed to doing something crazy, running a mile a day, and then you succeeded, which reinforces that like you can do crazy things, and then you think, okay, let's dream even crazier. 50 marathons, and adding a mile, and then on to the 50 marathons, and you keep succeeding, which is reinforcing this crazy mindset. And I think that's the same reason, Anya, why you can do incredible things. Like you did one marathon in June, you did it in 4.5 hours, and then you're like, I couldn't get a bit faster, and June, a few years later, it's 2.5 hours, and now it's June. Who knows what the long-term goal is? But like whatever you set your mind to, you probably will be able to do because you have that feedback along the way. Yeah. I guess then taking us to Houston, how did the first marathon go? And then how did the year of 2024 go?
Yeah, so Houston Marathon, show up to the start line, and I was like, all right, this is it. This is the start of the year. And there's a little bit of pressure on my back, like walking into the race, but I was like, let me just have fun with this. Mm-hmm. For the whole year, the theme was, it's not I need to hit a certain time. As long as I finish the distance, then I've done the marathon, I'm good. Yeah. I can get on to the next one. And so then around mile like 10, I got bored because this is the first marathon I'd run in a year. I didn't know what you're supposed to do. So I started talking to this guy, Maurizio, and we were just chatting up a conversation. Those miles started flying by. And I was like, okay, this is actually great. Like I learned a really solid lesson. When you lean into others around you, then the miles kind of tick by. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't listening to music the entire year for 2024. For a single marathon, I didn't listen to music once. Mm. And I was just talking with people, and that would always pass the time. Mm. Those last 6 miles, I learned another thing, that if you start counting the number of people that you run past, because everyone's slowing down for those last 6, they're starting to walk, and it's nothing against them. It's just a personal game of like, all right, let me just count up the number of people I can pass and see if I can like hit a high score. Yeah. 10 people, 15, 20, 40, 50, 100. In Houston, I think I passed like 120-something people. And those like final splits went from like 8 minutes average down to like 7:15, 7:10. And I ran a 3:39, which was an hour and 26 minutes faster than a year prior. So, could I drop an hour and 26 off that? Probably not, but it doesn't matter. It's just like the whole spirit of like when you really commit to something, you do the training, you show up on race day, you got the full confidence.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to do this because I ran 98 miles in 1 week. I can do this marathon in X amount of time.
And so you finished that in an incredible time and huge progress of what you've achieved in a year. Did you have the next 49 marathons mapped out, the travel, the logistics, the hotels or camper vans or whatever it is locked in, or like what was happening the next week?
Yeah, I spent a weekend, and I want to show you all real quick because I have the link pulled up. I spent a weekend just making this schedule. So I have a Google Doc here for all the listeners, and it's just a list of hyperlinks
Tick them all off.
to all the websites.
Wow.
And so that's my only logistics for the entire year. All I did, I sat down for a weekend, and I pulled up what are the biggest marathons in the U.S., and then what are the most unique ones. And then from there, like the remaining weekends, there's like a calendar that has everything, and I just narrowed it down. So it was like a puzzle piece. And I'm a big math guy. I went to school for math before I took a gap year, and like finding that puzzle, putting everything together, that actually gave me even more encouragement. I was like, it's logistically possible, and physically I can do it. Now monetarily and mentally.
Yeah. And were there races in each of the states that stacked up for all of the year?
There was a full race in all 50 states.
So you never had to do a marathon just like round the local park. It was always in a race.
There was one where it was a full marathon until Thursday. And then when I flew out, they said it was going to be too hot. It was in South Dakota. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. In the United States, we make fun of South Dakota because it's one of the forgotten states, basically.
And what number marathon was this?
This was like 30 something into the year. And so I like talked to the race directors, and they're like, if you run the full distance, we'll give you the full medal and the full race bib and everything like that. And so I ran the full distance. We got the full thing. That would be the only one. And so I want to go back and run Sioux Falls again this year just to get the official, 26.2 miles in an official registered race. But all the 49 other ones were complete 26 miles with competitors the whole way.
Was there a part of you that worried that the challenge was going to fall apart when you heard this race was cancelled?
Well, I knew with that one, like they're still hosting a race, so I'm fine. The difficult ones were where I missed a flight on the way to North Dakota. And so it was a Thursday night, playing cards with my grandma, and I looked down at my phone, and it's like, plane is boarding in 20 minutes. I was like, oh, I thought it was Friday, because usually I book Friday, I run Saturday morning, and then I fly back Sunday or whatever it is, right? And this one was like a day earlier because it was a cheap flight connecting through Denver. I was going to be there for 20, just logistics were tough to keep up with. So at times like that, that's where I was like, oh, maybe something like that's going to fall through the cracks. The big ones where I was like, oh, this is, game over. Number 35, I ran out of money. And this had happened a couple times throughout the year. But, Marathon 35 was 7 months into the year. Yeah. So then like after months and months of like pressure washing and stuff like that, selling wood, building tables, I'm a woodworker and that's how I paid for everything. So after doing that constantly, I was like, I need to find a way to get out of this cycle because I didn't have any table contracts lined up. And if I didn't make any money, I'd have to keep barely scraping by. For the one like just prior, I went to Alaska and I had to buy the flight to Alaska 5 days out. Well, that's an expensive flight. Yeah. Buying it 5 days out was terrible, right? So then, always running out of money was a terrible thing. And so by the time I hit there, I was like, all right, give it up to God. What's next? And like, I sold a bunch of wood, slabs of wood for the first time. It's crazy how this all played out because like I had bought them like a year and a half earlier, and that was my like safety net. And at the perfect time I got that and, signed up for races, got back in it. After that, it was number 42 in New York City. And I thought that I wouldn't be able to race New York, or I guess it was 44, because I signed up for the regular raffle and not for the guaranteed entry that I had to run with one of the Marathon Photo, one of the premier sponsors of the event. And so then it was like a week out, and if I'm 44 marathons into the year, there's only so many remaining weekends left. I can't really play around with the schedule. So then that one was tough because like if I didn't run New York City, which is the largest and most difficult marathon in the world to run and most prestigious, and like 4 days out from the marathon, I realized I didn't have a bib. Like if I didn't run that, then the challenge was over. And, of course I could run it a marathon in the next year, but running 44 in 2024, I want to do all 50 in that 1 year. So then, that was kind of tough to, like, I guess I could have gone up there and run 26 miles, but I posted a video and MasterCard, another premier sponsor, saw it, and they reached out, they got me a bib, and that was crazy. those types of moments where it's like down to the wire, happened again in Philly.
Yeah.
We're down to the wire because I ran out of money or forgot to sign up because, I'm 22 years old doing this whole challenge by myself, editing the videos, trying to stay on top of everything. Like all the details fall through the cracks all the time. But yeah, that's what made it so fun.
So you're typically traveling on Fridays, you're running a marathon on the Sunday, you're getting back home, and then you're building tables Monday through Thursday, or?
Yep.
And that was as well as editing videos and everything else?
So not building it like as many tables throughout the year as towards the start of the year.
Yep.
I started selling slabs of wood the second half of the year.
Yep.
The middle portion was pressure washing and washing windows. And so like there's a crazy story behind that as well. How in the world did I start washing windows? I have no idea. There's so many things like that I just don't have any clue.
But also
But it worked.
You should be exhausted from the marathon. That's almost adds to the level of impressiveness of the challenge, is that like you're having to start multiple small businesses.
Yep.
You're having to do manual labor as your recovery from marathon
doing
to marathon.
door-to-door
And
sales.
your door-to-door sales, you're also traveling. Like traveling is exhausting.
Yep.
So you're doing all of these things all at once while like scraping the barrel, not quite knowing whether you'll be able to do the ones in 3 months' time. I think that like all adds to the level of impressiveness when you actually uncover it in that way.
I think that when you have that really massive goal, it gives you the ultimate motivation to move towards it. So then if I was only running, let's not say with marathons, like if I was just traveling to all 50 states and it was over the course of my lifetime, there's not as much urgency. Basically, when there's not a sense of urgency, then you have less motivation, because I gave myself that timeline and I was already halfway through the year and like fully committed, and I saw a pathway to me finishing it physically and financially. It clicked into place, and not financially, but like mentally or emotionally, whatever it is, right? That's what gave me the motivation in those moments I got home, took a day of rest, and then was like, all right, back to it. Like, I've got a marathon this weekend. As long as I get through one more weekend, I can finish all 50 this year. But that, when you set that big goal, so for you, if it's running a marathon or if it's in a different area of life, like getting a raise or starting a new company or whatever it is, any area of life, you have the ultimate motivation to achieve that. And then back to earlier in the conversation, how soon can I achieve this dream so that I have the confidence to dream even bigger? We are all capable of running a marathon, right? We are all capable of doing these incredible feats, because if it's humanly possible, I can do it too, right? So that goes for any category of life. We just need the confidence to get started.
Yeah.
And so then, I think all of that applies together.
I'm also like thinking of how we can apply that like to our listeners as well. And I think what you said there, which is that like we have more motivation when we apply a sense of urgency, I think is so true.
And a bigger goal.
Yeah. And like, I mean, everyone can probably relate to that in their own way, but even for me listening, I'm not the fastest runner I've been in my life. And I keep kind of saying, when runner calms down, I'll be faster again. Yeah. But actually, like, maybe I should recognize that I'll be 30 in 10 months' time, and I need to be the fastest runner I've ever been at 30. And like apply like a time limited goal to that, force myself to be motivated a little bit more, and like whatever it is listening. And I think that's why for most people, signing up to a race can be such a valuable thing, because it's literally a time-bound goal.
Yeah.
And I think like if, as you said, like the goal would be to run a marathon one day at some point in the next 10 years, or to run your marathon PB at some point in the next 10 years, you don't start training hard tomorrow.
There's less urgency.
Yeah. So I think like, but at the same time, not for all goals do we need to achieve it immediately. But I think if you're the kind of person that's sitting down and wanting to go somewhere and wanting to like achieve something, finding that extra level that you can put on yourself to like help yourself out the door, help yourself with that training, help yourself achieve that big goal. I think applying that time pressure in yourself can be so helpful.
And like, very well put. I don't want to diminish that whatsoever.
No.
By adding this one part where it's like, after a certain amount of, like when I ran that first marathon, the 50 States marathons took a different meaning. So on top of like running all the different races, it was like, this is going to challenge me to the core. So it's like, I want to challenge so big that like it would change everything about me. I'd have to live up to like this ultimate good. And ultimately, like the phrase on my screensaver is like, I want to challenge so big, it'll only be possible with God. I want to have like the guts to take on these things, right? But when you have like that added meaning, it's not just that I'm running this marathon. Now there's the urgency that the race is coming up, but as well, doing this will help me to become more disciplined so that I can take action on this startup idea of a training platform that one day will become Runna. You see what I mean? Like it translates. So it's not just, I need to go run a faster time before I turn 30. You know, you add another layer to it. It's like, I've got a family and I want them to aspire to run this certain time or know that that's capable, or, it's not that the time that I ran mattered to them, but it was the image that, like, even at 30 years old, your dad still pushed himself and got a personal record. It's like that added layer of meaning. And that's the tough part. Most people aim for the finish, the ribbon, but all that goes away. Like, we've run a couple marathons. We know, like, chasing that is not as, doesn't have as much longevity as chasing that change in yourself, that growth.
Yeah. And I think the harder the goal, the more satisfying the finish line.
Yeah, because the process along the way, it required more out of you.
Yeah.
And then you realize that you're capable of so much more.
Yeah.
Right? In the process of pursuing this goal, a really good goal is something that requires more out of you.
Yeah.
Unless, if it doesn't require more out of you, it's just like an accomplishment, a task on a checklist. And so then, like, this time goal that you have, viewing it in that light of, this really will require the most out of me, because I have to, run is not going to calm down. Right? It's going to continue growing.
That's
People are going to keep
probably
running.
true. And that's probably the reason why my goal keeps getting pushed back.
Exactly. We kick the can down the road because we feel like we have time. Well, we don't. Right? Time is running out for all of us. And so then maybe that is the lesson to be learned in that season. It's like, all right, there are certain dreams that I have to part with. I'm not saying that you part with Runna. More so, like, there's other categories of life where it's like, if I want to pursue this goal, this time, or whatever it is, then I can go all in on that. I can pursue that. But in doing that, I have to, like, let go of keeping up with this TV series, or like, there's only so much time in the day. So then it's all right to not pursue one of these goals. But I think, I think it was like, there's 3 things that you can pursue at any time.
Yeah.
And so if you've got a family, you've got a company to run, then the other things has got to be the training, and not to harp on you, but just for everyone in general, like, those 3 things that, what's the word? Like, relentless focus, And then that's when you achieve that real growth, and that, like, the 50 States marathons, that was the only thing I thought about. I would come home, make money, and it was like, how do I post more entertaining videos? And then how I get through this next marathon. That was it. And when you have those, like, very few things to focus on, that's when you can give your all and you can hit those goals.
I love that.
Yeah. It sounds like your life kind of changed when you found running, and you were talking about how, running was to, like, prove your potential and, like, your self-belief. And do you think, like, running, this is quite a deep question, is like your purpose, and you were meant to find it, and that is the goal? Or do you think running is your journey onto this bigger thing?
I think to put it in any one thing would be tough. I think there's a book I'm reading right now. It's great, where it talks about all of us have, like, that goal that we're pursuing, right? And so then what would be, like, the ultimate goal to pursue? And so maybe running is part of this goal. But my new favorite question to ask is, what's your wildest ambition? Because it gets people thinking, like, do I even have this crazy goal that I have? What would be the wildest thing that I could do with my life? We never really have the permission to answer this question, or even to ask it, because, like, we kind of limit ourselves to just, I can do that. Like, staying in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
When you push out of that comfort zone, I don't know if running is my full purpose. I don't think so, because I really don't like it. Like, I've come to enjoy it, right? But when I finished that marathon, I take 2 weeks off, and then now my body has readjusted to not being in the training program. I got to get back on it. Like, it's tough.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is, like, maybe that's not my full purpose, right? But it's a step on the path of the continual process of, keeping my body in shape. Now that I have control over my body and that discipline, then the self-control and the things that I need in order to pursue my full purpose are a lot easier to maintain, right?
Yeah.
I don't think running is my full purpose, but I do think that it's a step on the path.
And it seems like the running gives you the lessons to be able to live a life to its full. And to live a life full of purpose, rather than running being your full purpose.
Yes. It's a tool. Running is a tool to stay sharpened.
Yeah.
I like
and there are loads of tools, like whether that's going to the gym, or whether that's, like we said, yoga, or whether that's learning to master the piano, like whatever it is that teaches you how to do hard things and how to have a good week and a good day, I think is valuable. So the last marathon, number 50, what was it, and what did it feel like to complete the challenge?
This is a cool story. So one of the things that I realized around marathon number 3, when I slept in my car in Mississippi, middle of nowhere, and ran a marathon the next morning, I after running the marathon, I was driving home because I had an 8-hour drive, right? This is the reality of the challenge. It was just so boring. And I was just thinking to myself, my grandma's been to 49 states. I had known that, but it hadn't really clicked. She had never been to Hawaii. And when I did the schedule, number 50 was in Honolulu, Hawaii. So then when I got to number 50, the 49 was crazy. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and just middle of nowhere, trail race, 40 people. And I didn't even want to run it because I was like, holy cow, I've done 48 marathons in 1 year. You know, when you start a goal like this, it's crazy. It's absurd to even commit to something like that, right? But then you get to number 48, 49, and then you show up to the start line number 50. And it's like, wow, I wish I would have had the confidence to start this sooner. You know, at least for me, I didn't have that regret that in 2024, I actually had the confidence to get started, that I didn't wait until later on, right? And so then maybe for this 1 year, I can look back on it and be like, yes, I actually took action. But I get to number 50, and my mom is the greatest human being on the planet for just everything that she does and the life that she's, you know, spoken into me and everything like that. And as well for just taking care of Nana, my grandma. And she brought Nana out, and it was fun to spend some time together. It was kind of difficult because it was like this, a lot of things coming together, right? We wanted to spend family time because Nana got her 50th state when she flew into Hawaii. This is something, she's 92 years old. This is something that she wanted to do, but she never thought she could because, you know, when you're 80 years old, it's like, I don't really want to travel anymore. It's kind of difficult to move around. So then the dream kind of goes away. It was amazing that she got there, and so we want to spend family time together. But as well, you know, a whole year of progress is coming to an end. So I got to post videos, right? Well, then as well, I paid for a flight for one of my buddies to come out and film. So he's like, hey, what video should we be filming? And then there's just a lot of different pressure all at once. Yeah. Like I could go through like 5 different other things. But then this goes into one of those things that like the circumstance pulls the most out of you. So in that moment, I had to realize like, wow, I don't have the capability to do everything that I wish I could have done. This won't be a perfect moment, right? But here I am at number 50. Let me just show up to Starling tomorrow morning and just enjoy it, right? And I think I didn't really like same thing with number 49 in Tulsa. I didn't really want to run it. I didn't really let that, it didn't sink in. It was so hard to emotionally allow myself to like accept the fact that I was here at number 50 because I was so used to, you know, trying out a series, but it not working because I didn't post the videos. I didn't edit them or whatever it was. You know, this was my 4.5 year of making content. So then for something to actually succeed, it was crazy. But my body didn't want me to accept it. And so it wasn't until mile 24, and I was running with some friends of mine the whole time. They're also Runna users. When we get to mile 24, they split off from me, and I just started walking, and I was sobbing tears. Because at that point I realized, I was like, hey, we did it.
I've done it, yeah.
How crazy is that? And so then I wanted to push my grandma for the whole race in a wheelchair. I thought that'd be incredible. It didn't end up working out, which is great that it didn't work because it was so humid.
Yeah.
It took me 5 hours and something minutes to finish that marathon. I was exhausted. And yeah, walking over the finish line, I pushed her for the final half mile in a wheelchair. So we got to have our moment, which was amazing. But you can just, in the photos and the video that was taken at the finish line, you just see me just sobbing the entire way. And I still don't think I fully processed what happened last year. And yeah, I mean, like, I know I keep saying it, I don't want to keep harping on it, but just like, I really do believe that when you commit to a challenge that's only possible with God, things like that happen where it's just like, it's insane for a 22-year-old kid to have the confidence to commit to something like that, right? And so whatever it is, when you have that ultimate confidence and you have those massive goals in mind, that gives you the ability to somehow pull it off, right? Like, if anything were different, like I can do this over 10 years, or not that these are any less important goals, but more so like the intensity of the goal gives you that motivation and then more support from people around you and all these different things stack in your favor. And it's going to take me a while to process everything because like I watch another incredible human being in Atlanta. Becca was the producer and the editor and filmer for the documentary that we made for the 50 States Marathons. And I've watched it like 8 times now. And in it, I share a lot about my story and, you know, just everything, why I live out like the greatest day ever mentality and all these different types of things. every single time I watch it, I'm just sobbing tears again because it's hard to emotionally accept that something like that actually happened.
Yeah.
But it's cool when you commit to something that massive and you really do it. Now I'm in a spot of like, what's next?
Well, I think that what you say about doing something that massive is only possible with God is like, I think the case that to do something crazy, you have to get lucky. And whether that's having God on your shoulder or getting lucky or whatever you believe that to be, it all needs to stack up right over and over again. And like, if one thing had gone wrong, like your plane had not landed in New York and instead it had been diverted to somewhere else, you wouldn't have ran the New York Marathon that day. Yeah. And that could have ruined the whole challenge. And like, whether that was luck, whether that was God, or whether that was you not getting unlucky, like it's a huge stack of these events playing out. And I think that's what adds to that emotional feeling at the end and that real sense of accomplishment. And when you set the goal, it's possible, but it's only just possible. And I think that narrow place where a goal is very, very hard to achieve, but only just achievable is exactly where you want a goal to be. Because if a goal is like easy, like you said, you just tick it off and it doesn't feel that great. But if a goal is actually impossible, if you had to run 50 marathons in 50 states in one day, it's obviously impossible. You're never, no point trying. No, it's not feasible. And you probably picked that, like for you, where clearly you can do hard things, you probably picked that right sweet spot. And for people listening, they probably don't need to pick goals quite as crazy. Because then maybe they will be too much for them. They won't be motivated and they won't get started. And I think like recognizing for you need that sweet spot is the key.
It actually did scare me though. Like I do think it was way outside of my comfort zone. And same thing with the 7 continents journey. So
let's tell us about this. That's the second incredible thing you've also done in a very short space of time, because we're currently in March of 2025. So we've not had long to decompress from the last challenge. But what have you gone on to do next?
Well, so 3 days after running the number 50 in Hawaii, I got a direct message on Instagram from the World Marathon Challenge, 7 marathons, 7 continents in 7 days. It's this challenge where 65 people hop on a plane, fly around the world, run a marathon every day for a week. That's scary. And
so many things could go wrong.
And I got a last minute invitation because there was a cancellation. This is something that people plan out for 2 to 3 years in advance because it's super expensive for one, and paying it off is a lot. But on top of that, like, how do you train to run a marathon every day for a week, right? For how in the world did I have the perfect training plan? You know, running a marathon in all 50 states, and then there's a cancellation last minute. Everything kind of lined up perfect. There was a sponsor that I had only done like 1 or 2 videos with during the 50 states marathons. So 95% of the marathon challenge was fully self-funded. And I reached out to them about the idea of having them sponsor this 7 continents thing. And the team member I was talking with just said, yeah, it's probably not going to happen, but we can ask. And we needed an answer by Friday. It was Monday morning. Anyways, long story short, I was able to Ketone IQ, this company, it's like a energy shot. They really believed in me as like the perfect spokesperson because I drank their product in all 50 states during the marathon challenge. And they paid my entry and I was able to run a marathon every day for a week at the start of February. That was a month and a half ago, including Antarctica. So it went from Antarctica, South Africa, then it went to Australia, Dubai, Madrid, Fortaleza, Brazil, and then Miami in North America. It was just absolutely wild that happened like a month and a half after finishing the 50 states. Now this is the cool part, is that I had already done a 50 stage challenge back in 2021, and we didn't post any videos, right? But that fell on me because I initiated the whole thing. Like I was supposed to be the one doing the social media side of stuff. I just didn't follow through on it, right? The next idea was supposed to be 7 continents in 7 days, but just traveling to all 7 continents, not even like running a marathon every day. So I'll show you this. I'm showing them a Google Doc that this was back in 2021 when I created it. And it says, it's travel itineraries. It says 7 continents in 7 days. That's my plan that I had written out.
And you planned that before you'd ever got this email?
That was 3 years. 3 years before I got the email, right? And so then I had this dream for my life. But my dream for my life was to run a marathon, was to travel to all 7 continents over the course of a week. God's dream for my life was to run a marathon every day for a week and to have a company pay for my entry. And so then like, I think when you commit to those big goals, that's when the things that you never could have imagined. I couldn't have fathomed that I'd run a marathon in Antarctica at the start line in Houston, you know, or even when I did my first marathon in 2023, right? But when you step boldly into these wild aspirations, that's when the real magic happens.
And so the marathon in Antarctica, what was it like?
Yeah, that's
That was
honestly,
the first one. Was that the easiest one?
that was my favorite, like the most wild experience ever, right? I'll take you through it real quick. So you hop on this plane in Cape Town, South Africa. It's a cargo plane. And so they used it like during World War II or something like that. And so it looks like we're flying into war. And we're all sitting in there. Everyone's trying to fall asleep. But I get these terrible migraines on planes. So it was actually kind of wild, like another added layer of the pain of running, a marathon on Saturday, flying to another state, running Sunday, and then flying home. I did that 9 times during the 50 States Challenge. The pain of that plus like the migraines, like that's what it felt like flying out to Antarctica. Anyways, we get there, you land on the continent, and it's like super bright. And they're like, hey, you have to put sunscreen on or else it's going to burn you because the ozone layer is super thin. So we hop out, we have all these layers on, and it's like sunny, blue skies, and actually pretty warm. I don't know what Celsius it was, but it was like just barely below freezing. And so then all of us are shedding our layers. There's a guy running in shorts and a t-shirt. It's crazy. I had my penguin onesie on, and so it's actually
So
Ben.
your shorts, yeah, show us.
Well, can I hop up real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wore a penguin onesie when I ran the marathon in Antarctica, just because I always wear costumes.
Yeah.
That Marathon 35, when I thought the challenge was going to be over, I wore overalls. It did well, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start doing this. Wore a tuxedo when I went to New York City, and I wore jeans for one of the marathons in Des Moines. So then I made the penguin onesie that I ran in Antarctica into a pair of shorts. So that's what I'm wearing right now.
That's it.
Penguin shorts.
Wyatt's got a penguin on his butt.
And then there's a blanket that they gave us on the plane, and it says Ultima Antarctic Logistics, like the company.
Oh.
So this is like the design from the.
And it was a full outfit.
Yep, it was like a penguin onesie
Yeah.
that I had on. But oh yeah, it's that one.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I think just having fun with it, like you only get to go to Antarctica once in your life, so then like maybe twice. That one place, 250 people a year visit. So we were one of 65 of 250 people, which is just wild.
Yeah.
And so then like that's a once in a lifetime experience I'll never forget. And yeah, it was incredible.
And then as you travel around the world, do you have to then be mindful of like the time zones so that you're always running your marathons in daylight, or like how does that work? Because like time is funny when you travel.
Okay, so there's 168 hours in 7 days.
Yep.
So 7 times 24 hours, 168.
Yeah.
That's our time frame. So when we start at this time, we have 168 hours until we finish, right? That means that when you fly in, as soon as you land, you're going, no matter what the time is. So, Antarctica, it's daylight, right? When we fly into Cape Town, it's daylight there. But then when we get to Australia, day number 3, which that's where the fatigue really sets in, it's 2:00 in the morning. So like we're running in the dark, but our body is on Cape Town time.
Yeah.
So then now it's like 10 p.m. or what? I don't even know what time it is because my biological clock tells me something.
And so do you only have the recovery time based on the flight?
Basically.
So you leave. So Cape Town was 2 and Australia was 3.
Yes.
And how long does it take to fly?
So that one was 18 hours.
So you had an 18-hour flight to recover.
Yep.
And then just like deal with it, whatever time it is when you land, just off you go run another marathon.
Yep.
And did you leave Australia before the sun came up?
So we landed when the sun set, and we left when the sun rose.
So you basically had a very fleeting visit to Australia
Yes.
for a nighttime.
Yep. And so then for the rest of the week, it's just we actually finished in 6 days instead of 7. So we had a full 24 hours that we didn't use, where we were just like trying to beat like the fastest group or team to ever travel all 7 continents. But it was just as soon as the final person crossed the finish line, which by the way, 68 years old, Molly
Wow.
and Lisa finished all 7 marathons over 7 days. This is my phrase. It's not the time, it's the distance. At 68 years old, if these incredible women can run a marathon every day for a week, there's nothing that should stop you. You can walk it, right? All of us have walked 26 miles in our lifetime. Technically, we've already done a marathon. If you stop worrying about the time, you can accomplish incredible goals for your life. It's just, are you willing to go the distance for yourself? That's the key.
It sounds like a incredible challenge, and definitely something we get to hear about all kinds of crazy challenges with all of the epic people we get to chat to doing the podcast, but I think this might be the one that gives me the most amount of I want to do that kind of vibe.
I don't know about that.
It's honestly, the mileage is not as bad because you run a little bit slower. You would run a little bit slower than your training pace and like that. It is crazy though. Number one, first and second place, both female. We're running 3:10, 3:15 every day for 7 days.
Yeah, cool.
Wow.
I've never run that time. I've run 67 marathons now. My fastest is 3:20, and they're doing that every single day. The average finish time was like 3:10 or something. Steffi and Tomomi.
That's
Incredible.
So cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
They must have inspired you. I mean, all of your crazy challenges. Does it make you want to do another one? Like, what is next? Is the goalpost just shifting, becoming more and more aspirational?
Yeah, I think that is something that I have to be careful of.
Yeah.
Is that I don't want to always chase the next big thing because, what was it? There was this guy who had wings of wax and he like flew up into the sun, and then Icarus in the sun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so don't fly too close to the sun, or else the thing that got you there will cause you to crash into the sun.
Yeah.
So I think when you gotta, this is why you have to set it. It's not that I'm chasing this time and I'm always chasing the better time, because run yourself into the ground. It's like, how can I become a better father through this practice? Or is it setting a good example? Or can I balance this with the other things I'm doing just to have the confidence in myself that I can accomplish these incredible things. I can rewire my brain on what I believe is possible. And those, you're pursuing that. And so it's less about pursuing the next big thing, right? So the next goal, right? I want to go to all 7 wonders of the world this summer. I want to self-fund it instead of getting a sponsor. That way I can show anyone who wants to take on like a running challenge that you can just go do that. You don't have to run with a company. You can just go book 7 flights and raise the money yourself and then go run a 10K every day for a week at the 7 wonders of the world. So that's what I'll be doing. I'm going to try to get some running friends together to do it. But it's taken me a while. I've had a couple different ideas on like going back and forth on this and even talking about it, on Instagram and not fully decided.
Yeah.
But I believe I'm very confident that that's the past week I've been like really dialed in on. That's the one that I'm committing to this summer. And yeah.
I guess last question for me. If that's the next challenge, like what do you want to achieve, whether it's in your running or whether it's in life over the next 20 years?
Yeah. What's my wildest aspiration?
Yeah.
I don't think there should just be one. I think, there should be multiple in different areas of life. That way it really stretches you, pulls the most out of you. This is why Tyler and I we call every single day, my best friend.
Yeah.
And he, the one we started the Daily Mile together, we challenge each other to really pull the best out of ourselves, right? Great people pull out the greatness in you. Mm-hmm. And so then if you have these massive aspirations, it's not necessarily that I have to achieve this, right? Let's say I wanted to make $10 million. A lot of people are focusing on the money. It's like, I could care less about the dollar amount. Have I become someone who's making something valuable enough to be worth $10 million, right? So I think when you shift the goal, that's when you really, you got to put a number on it. That way you can kind of quantify and have a judge. Because if you don't have a judge, then what we said earlier, sometime over the next 10 years, I want to run my first marathon.
You need to put the pressure on yourself.
Exactly. Or else the time will pass. The question is, the time will pass, who will I become? And so then if I want to become someone, like a Warren Buffett, well, then the goals should be around that side or whatever it is. My wildest aspiration, I would say for the travel aspect, I want to break the world record fastest trip to every country in the world. And I've had that idea since 2021 with the 7 continents. And so I see, we did the 50 States challenge. I did it again and it actually worked on social media. We did the 7 continents challenge, or we planned it out. And then I was actually able to go out there and do it. So now I had this idea for 200 countries for the past 3 years. I've made like an announcement video that I was going to do it. It failed. And I've talked to my friends about this constantly and I haven't been able to do it yet because that's a massive undertaking, right? I would say that is right now is my wildest ambition. And of course I have other ones, but I would say like just to keep it simple here and not pull out the list of 10,000 things that I have. Like that would be the one.
Wow.
I can't believe it all started with just running a mile every day.
Honestly, it's wild. It's wild what a daily commitment can do. When you really show up for yourself, you're stacking that evidence. I call it the mountain of confidence. And so like, let's say every day you're walking up this mountain of confidence, right? And you just bring one stone, one pebble. Well, you're going to grow that mountain bigger because you're accumulating. It's not something like, Sisyphus in The Rock?
Yeah.
Where this guy's trying to push a boulder up this hill and he's forever stuck. He can't push it any further. It's because the dream is too big. Don't let the crushing weight of perfection, of this massive dream, crush you, right? So break it down into small pieces. Let those stone roll, break into pieces, bring it up one stone at a time, if that's what it takes, one boulder. How do you run a marathon? One step at a time. And then now every day when you run that 1 mile, you're stacking those stones on top of the mountain, you're growing the mountain. I believe that our life is a mountain range. And so to have an incredible story, there's got to be peaks and valleys. And so this is the tough part, is that, and valleys, not just peaks, right? I just ran a marathon in all 50 states. And then right after, ran a marathon on all 7 continents. Well, now the past month, I've been down in the dumps. I don't know what's next. I'm confused. I had a purpose for a whole year. For 2024, I achieved that purpose. At the start of 2025, I had a purpose. I achieved that purpose. I worked with a company. I set a great example, hopefully to work with other sponsors, or even when I have my own idea for an app in the future, to get investors like you, Ben. But at the end of the day, like, I'm down in the valley again. And so now it's the climb, right? But that's what makes it an interesting story. It's not just Mount Everest. I hiked up and down that hill and now we're done. It's like, no, I hiked the Appalachian Trail. My life story is a mountain range. The struggles I overcame, the triumphs that I had, the outline of everything, and then everything that I realized along the way. That's what makes me unique. It's funny, that spells out story. And so like my story is my mountain range. Yeah. It's the process of going through the peaks and the valleys. Yeah.
I love that. That is epic. On that note, we are going to segue over to Steph for our coaching tip of the week.
Today's reminder is to not skip your warm-up. When we're super busy, we're often jumping out of bed to go for a run or heading out for a lunchtime run straight from our desk. Try to find some time to do some dynamic stretching to mobilise and loosen off any tight spots. This will help you run more efficiently and reduce your chance of picking up a niggle.
Thanks for that, Steph. I'm going to bring us back with our coaching discussion of the week. This one is, what is the biggest fueling mistake you see runners make? And I guess why you would have come across a lot in all of your marathons. But Ben, what's your position on this?
I think with anything, there's many ends of a spectrum. But I think for the majority of runners, they probably look to get out the door first thing in the morning and skip breakfast, or they start to build up their distances and they don't increase the fueling to do so. And I think like when we run, we push our bodies really hard and it takes a lot to recover from that, but it also takes a lot to fuel for that movement. So I think under-fueling is something that a lot of people do. And the more incredible runners I talk to as well, the more that they all prioritize their nutrition. And that's both their fueling pre-run, their fueling during runs, and then their recovery post-runs. And I think all three of those parts are essential and none can be ignored.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't emphasize glucose in the morning enough. So they'll eat complex carbs, but no one's tapping up their liver glycogen storage. And so then having some type of like simple carb in the morning, like jam on toast, I think that a lot of people miss out on that.
What was your go-to marathon fuel for the 50, or what would you do if you were running a marathon tomorrow?
So it's so funny. Having run 50 marathons, all 50 states, right? I'm the worst person to ask for advice because the day before, I'm broke the whole year. I still am. And so like I would just get like one Chipotle burrito. So I wouldn't even get enough carbs sometimes. There were like 5 marathons where I ran fasted, no food. And then other days where I would like take gels or like grab some on the course.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. Like I just didn't want to pay for gels.
Yeah.
So
It's so expensive.
Exactly. So what I would do is I would like grab extra ones at the final one at like mile 22, just put in my pockets for the next weekend and then have those. And then I would take the ones, so it's so funny. Like the things I did throughout the year to get by. I'm the worst person to ask for advice.
Well, that's funny. I guess we're going to segue over to our this or that's. And maybe on the same note, if you were to have to redo one of those two epic challenges, would you redo in the position you are now, 50 marathons in 50 states, or 7 marathons in 7 continents in 7 days?
I mean, the 50 states, without a doubt, because if I could like put myself back in that spot, right? With the 7 continents, we got to think in the frame of mind. I had already finished the 50 states. So I kind of had the confidence I could do it, but it was stretching me a little bit. But the 50 states, you're at the bottom of Mount Everest. And that feeling of climbing it the whole way, like,
Yeah.
you don't really realize. It was Marathon 25, and I was like, I'm here. I'm doing this. You know, it was cool. I ran 75 miles for Marathon 25 because that was the only, they had an ultra marathon. That was the only one from Massachusetts.
Oh.
And so I was like, I'm not going to stop at 26. Let me just see how far I can go. So the halfway point was actually a 75 miler. Yeah.
And also, it's like obviously, it's such a big achievement, 7 marathons in 7 days, and that's such a huge pressure on your body. But like mentally, that's only a week, whereas you were like, this is going to take me like
a year.
Yeah.
I think it's also the mental state that you clearly can exist within, which is that I think the easy answer to that question is the easier of the two challenges, because if you had to do it again tomorrow, you pick the easy one because that's a sensible answer.
Yeah.
But the fact that you gravitate towards the one that is inherently harder, I think speaks to why you're able to do such a hard thing.
It makes for a better story.
Sure. Okay, maybe more on the silly side.
Yeah.
You like your fancy dress outfits. You showed us the penguin outfit.
Yep.
For all your marathons forevermore, would you rather wear the penguin outfit or wear a Hawaiian hula skirt?
Ooh, hula skirt.
Regardless of where you are in the world, no matter how cold it is?
Well, you got to think that there's not many cold places compared to hot. You've got Antarctica.
Yeah, it could be quite inconvenient wearing the penguin outfit on a hot, sunny marathon.
Exactly. And most of the beautiful ones I want to run are on the equator. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to do Marathon des Sables potentially. So like, that's like the 6 marathon, 6 days through the Sahara Desert. I can't wear a penguin outfit there.
That is very, very true. Okay. And I'm going to change it then.
Yeah.
For when you run the Marathon des Sables,
Yep.
would you rather do that in flip-flops or giant clown shoes?
Well, this is funny. I wear a size 15 shoes, so I've already got clown shoes. That's our joke, because like
They are. I did notice them on your way in.
Yeah.
Are they custom built shoes?
No. So wait, yeah.
What is that the biggest size that's like mass production?
That would be so funny if I like contacted a tailor to get the shoes. It's the biggest size that they offer, and so then because I was so broke last year, I only had 3 pairs of shoes. That's why I'm the worst person to ask for advice. You're supposed to run at most 3-4 marathons in a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
At most. I ran 17 in each pair of shoes. So it was a good year.
So flip flops or the clown shoes?
I'm gonna have to go with clown shoes. Flip flops, my foot is so flat that I would die.
Do you ever swim? Because you've got like flippers. You'd be so fast.
See, I think I'd be great at Ironman.
Yeah.
So hey,
Next.
2032, 5 years down the road.
This could be a really interesting closing question for you.
Yeah.
Because you've done so many crazy races. If you were to design your dream race, what would it be?
Yep.
Where would it be? What food and drink is at the finish line? And who would present you with your finishing award?
Okay. Well, I really want to do this.
Okay.
I think that this would be an incredible competition. I think it could be like a new fun thing to watch. It's similar to like the American Ninja Warrior and like the Spartan races. It's called Level Up. And so it's a 100-mile race.
Does this exist yet? Or is this
No,
your idea?
It's my idea.
Okay.
From the ground
Copyright
up.
it.
If you want to take this, go on ahead, but just like include me in there somewhere. I just want to be part of it. I don't care if I make any money. Anyways, that's the thing. I love ideas. I don't really care about money. So then it's a 100-mile race. That's the championship. Mm-hmm. But the qualifiers are a 50-miler and a 25-miler and then like 6. And then, I guess that would be like the lowest thing, right? Okay. So basically like a 10K or a marathon, those would be like the qualifier races. This would be like per state and then the region and then the quarters of the world, the US. And then like the final one is like, 10 people competing for the 100-mile level up challenge. But it's basically like how far can you get on this thing? And so it's level up in the certain time frame or whatever it is. And each thing has an obstacle, not in the typical like, climb over this rock wall. I think it'd be something really difficult or like different.
So there's loads of obstacles within the 100-mile race.
And it's like life skills. It's not just like, climb this thing. It's something where male or female, if you wanted to run 100 miles And like if you're already a ultramarathon runner, you just have to get really creative and unique and adept at these life skills.
So you said you like your maths. Are we putting like an algebra classroom in at mile 25?
Hey, the world's your oyster. Sure.
And where would your 100-mile challenge run be?
That's a good question. I mean, you want to make it difficult, but not too difficult. So definitely in the scenery somewhere, probably some type of like Colorado mountain range, like somewhere in there.
I think
Sierra
probably
Nevada.
mountains on brand for you.
Exactly, yeah. Because then, yeah.
And what food and drink are you looking forward to at the finish line?
Now, if you're doing a 100-miler, we're giving you like steak and a full dinner, right? Now, if you're doing a marathon, I think it could be like burgers, have like a nice, because the whole point of this is that it's going to be really tough for people to finish.
Yeah.
With a marathon, there's an 8-hour time limit, and then you just run the marathon. But with all the obstacles, and you have to finish it in like 6 hours, wherever it ends up being, when we make this $1 million race, yeah, I think it would be like burgers or something like that.
And who's giving the award at the finish line?
I mean, Harry Styles just ran a marathon in Tokyo, so we're going on brand.
Not what I expected.
I don't know, like that's the first thing that comes to mind. I mean,
Nice.
honestly, like just something that would mean a lot to me if I ran it. Like, I really want my mom to give me the medal because like my mom is everything to me. So, yeah.
Nice.
My
Wow.
mouse.
No, thank you so much for coming on. It has been so inspirational, and it's incredible everything you're doing, and we wish you so much luck for all the crazy challenges in the future.
Thank you all for having me.
Today's podcast is powered by Runna. Runna is the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. And whatever your running goal, whether you're looking to do your first 5K, improve your time over the 10K, or even run a marathon or an ultramarathon, we'll build you the personalized training for you to help you get there and enjoy the process along the way. If you want to download the Runna app, you'll get 2 weeks for free with code podcast25. And if you're already a Runna customer, you can head to the premium offers section where we've got a 15% off discount for you off any of our Runna merchandise.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, subscribe. And if you loved it, give us a 5-star rating. And we'll be back next week with another inspiring guest. See you then.